Beg your pardon? Meredith, who is this coarse person with the foreign accent?
Right. Hello. This is the Talking Ass. That's me, Danny. Available on all your favorite podcast platforms. And some of the ones that you don't like.
Like some certain hubs.
Certain hubs.
Rhymes with morn.
Cornhub. Yeah, not available on Cornhub. Cornhub is the Native American agricultural trading platform in the Dakota Reservation.
Not funny.
Hey Sylvia, I'm a little disappointed that we get like 12 pitches for the show in our inbox every hour, and you've decided to. What are you doing at work right now?
Normal stuff.
You're decorating a cake. Is it your baby Eugene's birthday?
Yes.
What's he getting?
A Ferrari cake.
Wow, lucky boy.
There's a fire engine involved. There's some misdemeanors involving diggers.
How many is he turning?
19.
All right. Obviously, nothing of interest to this podcast has happened in the last week in the world, so that's exciting.
No biggie, nothing.
No, I did notice something, though. There's a couple of people. There's one congratulations I wanted to say.
Well, assassinations. I wanted to give a shout out to.
Don't go there yet.
Oh, okay. Spoiler.
First, I wanted to say congratulations to friend of the show, Larry David, for surviving the fatwa.
What?
Those who know what I'm talking about know. The others find out. I also wanted to give my condolences to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women for losing a valued member.
Who?
Wait, you didn't hear about this? The Ayatollah Khomeini in 2021 was elected to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. True story. All right. Sorry, I don't want to laugh. Serious things are happening, but I chose to go with a funny angle there. Before we get into any questions and feedback that are coming to the show, a quick revisit to the old islands of ours. Our favorite island, remember what it's called?
Diego Garcia.
Diego Garcia. Did you hear that Britain initially didn't want to let the US use it? So Trump got all angry. But I don't get it. They're giving it to Mauritius anyway. So shouldn't Trump have asked Mauritius for permission to use Diego Garcia? And since we're in Island Corner, for those who don't know, we have a few new listeners. Welcome. We always do something fun with islands in these bonus episodes. Not always, but when I've found something fun and I bother to tell you about it. Quickly related to Diego Garcia and islands, we've talked a lot about the Chinese stuff in the Pacific Ocean. I have a quiz question for you, Sylvia, actually. Do you know what the Great Wall is made of?
China.
Yeah, I see.
Porcelain?
Great Wall of China, I give it.
Hashtag pottery.
Yeah, pottery. It's Island Corner, not Pottery Corner. You should have known from my attempt to become like a national treasure like Stephen Fry that this was a QI style question.
Rumor to be.
Or the correct answer is another question.
No.
Not like Jeopardy, but the correct answer is you should have asked which one.
Okay, yeah, which wall? Don't know.
So I want to talk to you about the Great Wall of Sand. And actually, I don't want to tell you too much about it because this is a website. I'll put it in the episode description.
I want to sing it.
It's something called the Island Tracker on amti.csis.org. And the Island Tracker gives you a summary of every island that has sprung out of nowhere in the Chinese Great Wall of Sand, which is their chain of islands that they're building for strategic purposes in the ocean. So go check it out. There's all kinds, from Duncan Islands to Drummond Islands to Bombay Reef. Check it out. I'll put it in the description. It's really interesting. So I don't need to summarize it for you because someone's already done great work here. Scarborough Shoal from 2012 is pretty much when it started. And since 2013, China has engaged in unprecedented dredging and artificial island buildings in the Spratlys, which is a chain of islands. They've created at least 3,200 acres of new land. So, check that out. Uh, I know, is everyone waiting for me to say something about what's happening in the world, or?
I'll just make them wait a bit longer.
Well, I already made a couple of jokes about the Ayatollah. Isn't that like, hasn't that given a little bit of a taster of what I'm... Before then, quickly, we had a really long feedback to the Vago Muradian episode. Go back and check out. It was something understanding the global security situation. It's from a couple of months back. And we got a great comment to that. And because it's a special VIP new listener called Dominique,
Nice.
we actually got a reply from Vago himself.
Ooh.
And thank you very much, Vago, if you're listening as well. Because this is someone who took an art history class at George Washington University with Vago. And apparently Vago was the stoic reception desk monitor at the library, which is cool. Anyway, here, this is really timely, but stick with me here, everyone. Dominique says, the rules-based order was always a bit of a fig leaf to cover the fact that the superpowers were really running the show. NATO is the USA, and the other European nations are vassals. I would to some extent agree with that. As globalization has finally and thankfully collapsed because of its inherent faults, read Pat Buchanan for reference. This is a conservative, I believe. The rise of China, MFN status, and decline of American manufacturing were all a terrible mistake. Agreed to some extent. We are returning to the classic form of world politics. It may be more brutal, but also more honest and frankly better for workers in the end. Trump is a ham-fisted asshat.
Nice. Good one.
But he is the symptomatic and inevitable result of how we have run things since 1989. If only Pat Buchanan were 20 years younger, we might have had him and not Trump. The US can no longer act as world police. Our astronomical debt and 100% record of failure on interventionist wars in the Middle East are all the evidence we need. It's time to look homeward. On warfare, I will point out that the Sherman tank was inferior to the Panzer, but our ability to outproduce the Panzer 4-1 and the complexity of repairing and replacing the Panzer on the field is the lesson. The ability to mass-produce just okay tech is ultimately superior to fewer and expensive weapons. Enter Palmer Luckey just in time. I don't know who that is. I need to look that up. There you go, listeners. I'll admit when I don't know.
If you need to chat with her, do you think? I think you did.
Is that a her or a him?
Dominique is a usually.
Palmer Luckey. Yeah, maybe Dominique could come on the show.
No, but.
Okay, and here's the final comment. It's time for realism and restraint. Read The American Conservative as a good source. Well, okay. But Vago was kind enough to actually provide his response because it's such a great, well-structured and lovely piece of feedback. Therefore, I went the extra mile, and so did Vago.
You hero.
All right, here's Vago. Ha! I remember her. Here we are. We're like Nokia, connecting people.
Ugh.
Talking ass, connecting people.
Such a Finnish man.
Yeah. Ha! I remember her. Been a long time, and I see her logic, but I disagree. I believe that we must lead, but don't need to intervene everywhere. That's the mistake. We should intervene only where it's necessary, and if so, within the rules that we have shaped. Moreover, I would add that the era everyone is pining for was a historical anomaly. The era they're talking about, an idyllic middle-class life, was possible only in the wake of the commercial industrial surge after the privations of a global depression and the winning of history's bloodiest war. So we keep telling people that this is again possible, and it's not. I'm not an economic historian, but don't believe these conditions have ever existed before, nor do I believe they will exist again in the future. In fact, I believe technology will fundamentally make it harder for the unskilled to be employed. Those who argue AI will create more jobs are the people who are selling AI. Okay, there was a lot there. I will actually leave those 2 comments to brew with all the listeners. You can always rewind and listen to them again and see what you think, because I don't pretend to have the expertise to start challenging either. We did have also someone asking whether I could cover some of this, meaning some of this Iran stuff on the show.
Lovely.
And to that person, I'd say, well, welcome to the show, but you clearly haven't listened to the other bonus episodes yet, because we have mentioned it a few
I've
times.
just been foreboding it. You know, in my terms, do you know what you've been doing?
What?
Manifesting.
Manifesting.
You have made the university this, Danny.
The
by
university.
The universe
Ah.
do this,
Ah.
Danny, by talking about it, imagining it, creating it. You did this.
I never quite imagined this, though. So, these bonus episodes are not to make you have a great, deep understanding of the Middle East and all the players involved. But quickly, I don't know, some parties involved in this war. Quickly to this commenter. I don't know, where do you want to start? Shall we start?
Where
United States of America?
that's given them too much limelight. Just try and do it without mentioning United States of America.
Why do they want to do this? Big picture, look into the strategic play between superpowers that Dominique and Vago there just talked about, the Chinese new Silk Road. It's called the Belt and Road Initiative, I believe, and the competing Western and American conceptions of how the Middle East should look as a trade route, and who should be whose ally. That's some big picture strategic stuff. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, and Qatar, that has a bunch of liquefied natural gas, LNG, is on the wrong side of that strait. Iran has a bunch of oil, all of that. And also, America has an unsettled accounts with Iran. It has been a massive state sponsor of terror. Not the people, this regime that came to power in 1979. In the Islamic Revolution. Check that out. There are unsettled accounts starting from the very day they came to power, when they kidnapped those American diplomats in the embassy. There was the hostage crisis in Tehran. You start there, all those American soldiers killed and maimed by roadside bombs, etc., in Iraq, paid for by Iranian-backed militias. Hezbollah has been a major terrorist network, even a narco-terrorist, as close to home as America, South America. Look into that. There are complex interests here. This has been an enemy of America's for a while. Don't let anyone tell you, by the way, that this war started this week. That's stupid. Israel especially has been in conflict with Iran for a long time. Basically, after the Iran-Iraq war, Iran needed a new enemy, and the Jewish state was a easy one. By the way, the Iranians are Shiites, so all their allies that they've been paying for, most of them, except Hamas, which they also support and pay for, are Shiites, or not quite. You should look into how the Alawites, who were in power in Syria, not anymore, since the Assad regime fell, they're not really Shiites. They're they were even socialists and secularists at a time. Same with the Houthis in Yemen that are backed by Iran. Kind of proto-Shiites. But still, look, the Sunni-Shia divide in the Middle East is important here. Iran is Shiite. The Sunnis and Shias have been in conflict for a long, long time. And that's like the ethnic, historical, religious conflict here. I'm talking too much, but there's still other things you need to look into. That, how they built a Shiite ring of fire around Israel, plus Hamas, because the Palestinian issue was a major propaganda tool for this regime as well. So Israel was always going to do something about Iranian nuclear ambitions and ballistic missile threats and drones, etc. Now, who else is involved? Iran has responded by firing at all the Gulf Arabs. Now, there is something called the Gulf Cooperation Council, but these are not friends with each other. You can't put all these oil-rich monarchies in one pile, but they all have American weapons. They are all within the American security umbrella. They are American allies. Some of them even have peace treaties with Israel. So in this war, they're Israeli allies too. Others do not. Some of them hate each other. For example, now another thing you need to learn is something called the Muslim Brotherhood. This is an idea that started in Egypt. Look into someone called Said Qutb, for example, and read some of his stuff. Sunni radicalism that you may have heard of, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, these are all offshoots of the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, most Gulf monarchies hate and fear this idea. And this especially was clear during the Arab Spring revolts, if you remember, 10, 15 years ago, when actual monarchies and dictatorships were falling in the Middle East due to popular revolt. The Gulf Arabs generally are families with armies and families with oil wells who fear a popular uprising, and the Muslim Brotherhood is a major threat. So that is a Sunni threat to a Sunni royal family. But they also obviously still, as I just said, they hate the Persians, because by the way, the Iranians are not Arabs, they're Persians. Arab-Persian divide. Look into that too. Are you following, Sylvia?
Well, no.
Muslim Brotherhood, back to that.
Recognize them.
Yes. All the Arab monarchies fear and hate that, except Qatar, which supports it and loves it and funds it and propagates for it. For example, Al Jazeera, which all your favorite, even taxpayer-funded journalistic sources here in the West view as some kind of serious news channel, is basically, if you really strip it to its core, is a Muslim Brotherhood propaganda organ. Now, royal families, Saudi Arabia, interesting, hates Qatar, sometimes hates the Emirates, sometimes hates Bahrain. Now they have all been fired upon. Now they all hate the Iranians or the Iranian regime, first and foremost. But in the background, they also kind of mistrust Shiites and mistrust Persians, historically. Christ, what have I not mentioned? Hezbollah. Israel is also doing potentially another land incursion into Lebanon. Hezbollah, part of the Shiite crescent we talked about, major threat to Israel. Even though in 2024 they all said, Bibi included, that amazing results and Hezbollah has been set back years, blah, blah, blah. Well, there they are again, joining this fight, and another war seems to be necessary in Lebanon. Lebanon, ethnically diverse, Sunnis, Shias, and Christians. Nationality-wise diverse, Palestinians, Druze, Lebanese, Syrians. Who haven't we mentioned? Turkey, weird, wants to be a leader of the Sunni world and challenge Saudi Arabia's and Qatar's ideological ambitions in that sense, funded all kinds of jihadists in the Syrian civil war, and hates Israel, but is a NATO country, has kind of close ties to Iran, but is a NATO country. Weird. Saudi Arabia, under Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, who is different from MBZ or MBZ. That's the Emirati guy. Anyway, under MBS, Saudi Arabia, interesting here. He's interested in AI and modernization and tourism and investment in Saudi Arabia and a transition away from the oil economy. This might, right now, we might be at an interesting junction here. Israel and the United States pretty much have air superiority over the entire Middle East right now, more or less. Saudi Arabia has been attacked by Iran in this war. Saudi Arabia will have to coordinate with forces of the United States of America and the Jewish state of Israel if it wants to join this fight. And MBS is a pretty swift and ruthless decision maker who will not tolerate any shit like this. Riyadh has been fired on. That's the capital of Saudi Arabia, has been fired on by missiles. That is not something MBS will tolerate. I believe they're going to join this in a big way. And they have new American toys, them too. The British are just joining late. First they politically stalled, and now because it's going so well, now they joined so that they get to test all their new toys that have never been fired in anger before. That's my analysis, not necessarily something they've said. Now, Saudi Arabia, if it joins this fight as a full-on ally of Israel, that is de facto recognition of the state of Israel. That means one of the leaders of the Sunni Islamic world, the guardians of Mecca and Medina, the holiest sites in Islam, will recognize Israel and we will be on a road to economic and diplomatic relations before the Palestinian issue has been solved, which Saudi Arabia has had as a rule that they are open to negotiations with Israel as long as the Palestinian issue has some kind of resolution. Now, go back to October 7th, 2023. Partially, the timing of the Hamas attacks on Israel was because this was already happening. Saudi Arabia and Israel were getting closer, and it looked like a new vision for a Silk Road in the Middle East that would benefit us, the West, rather than China and Russia, our adversaries, was going to happen, and the Palestinians were going to be left out, potentially. Or at least their issue was going to be just irrelevant to all these big plans. So they said, no, we are a strategic threat as well. And they showed it. So, is that a few covered?
Yeah.
Straits of Hormuz, major choke point for global trade, especially oil and gas. Iran controls it. Now, America has said that they've sunk most of the Iranian navy. So and America and Israel have said that they pretty much have air superiority over all of that area. So how can they still claim that the Straits of Hormuz are threatened to be closed? I don't understand. Ask a general what's going on there. Yeah, maybe I guess that they can hit ships from further away with drones and missiles. I guess that's the thing. Anyway, Iran has already fired on civilian ships. America has sunk an Iranian ship as far away as near Sri Lanka. 100 Iranian sailors probably died in that. I mean, military sailors, a military target. But anyway, Jesus, I left out a lot, but I don't know. Sorry. For the listener who wrote in, a few keywords to take from this. You need to Sunni Shia, a little bit of Iranian history, Persian Empire, all of that. A little bit of Israeli-Palestinian conflict and how it's been used just as a propaganda tool by various regimes without really caring for either side very much. Egypt, look at the Muslim Brotherhood and the ideology that spread from there. On the Sunni side, look at the interest of each royal family in the Gulf, what natural resources they have. Some have gas, some have oil, and what their vision is for the future, who they're allied with. Christ, all of it. Lebanon, civil war, Syria, civil war, and Yemen has not been addressed yet at all in this war, I think, and that's probably next, because they have a bunch of Iranian toys, like missiles and drones. And I don't know. You have Oman that's tried to be some kind of mediator in all this.
No one wants to be mediated in all of this, do they?
No, I mean, this looks like, and then obviously look at the Trump government's national security strategy, which is public, and you can just Google that, and it's a PDF. Read that and what their vision is, and they are creating a different kind of world order here, and yeah, whatever. That was a lot. Overall, I'm not happy about wars. In this case, the Americans and the Israelis have done very well to avoid civilians as well as they can. Is very much a regime thing. Oh, most importantly, remember the Iranian people. Remember the door is opening. Remember the Kurds. We mentioned that briefly recently on the show as well. Remember the Kurdish people, who are one of the largest stateless people in the world, and the door might be opening for them as well, because part of what they want, they would call Kurdistan, is in Iranian territory, part is in Iraq, and part is in Syria and Turkey, of course. And the Turks will hate that. So there's that. But the Kurds have been American allies in the Middle East. But Turkey and America are NATO allies. So you figure it out. Fuck it. I'm done. It can't be all left to me, can it?
Namaste.
Namaste, motherfuckers. I listened to some Boston public radio just to hear from American public how they view all of this. People are very much mistrusting Trump and what his intentions are here, and obviously most people, I must say, and this is not just to say Americans, Bostonians, I like their accent, and I like that they're pretty opinionated, so it's entertaining. But I have to say that from that small sample size, the people of the street, whether in Europe or in America, have not bothered to do any of what we just talked about, even a percentage of what I just rambled about. And it is very confusing for most people. Now it's public service announcement time, Sylvia. Oh, before you do that, this is the Talking Ass. Follow, subscribe, share with a friend. Do you know what's next?
Actually, don't.
Next is what is probably the largest stateless population on the planet.
Oh. Yes, I do.
And we have our first ever minister on the show, a real life minister
Yes, Minister.
of a government.
Woo.
Did you say yes, minister? That's a retro British. What do the kids call it?
Throwback.
Throwback. Yeah, that's what the
Yo.
kids call it. All right, your public service announcement.
There was a really good women's hour today on the many people, women, children, men, young people that are going missing in South America and Mexico, and lots of mums are taking it on themselves to. Why are you laughing?
Have they gone missing because they went to America? That's an immigration joke.
God, no. No, like, they're getting literally, like, tip-offs for where to find the remains. Danny, actually. Now you feel bad.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're the only ones that are looking for them, and cartels are taking them and then
Yeah.
dumping bodies.
For my public service announcement, I am going to read you another poem. It's Poetry Corner.
Yes!
And this one is from someone called Bamewabakije Kagwai.
Wait, big guy.
And the poem is an unpublished poem called Lines Written at Castle Island, Lake Superior in 1838. This was originally written in the Ojibwe language before being translated, and the poet is better known as Jane Johnston Schoolcraft, widely considered the first Native American poet. This is what she writes about the Great Lakes in 1838. Here only nature reigns, far from the haunts of men. Here there are no sordid fears, no crimes, no misery, no tears, no pride of wealth, the heart to fill, no laws to treat my people ill.
Boom. International Women's Day on the 8th of March.
Right! Hey, look at that. I didn't even know that, but accidentally I went right down the soul right there. All right. Next episode gonna be a minister, so tune in for that. Bye-bye.
Killing me softly with his farts. He's a multi-talented.
And let's see if anyone listens past the outro.